In my seemingly endless pursuit of devices involving floppy disks, I've come across this delightful thing. Give a warm greetings to the Sony Mavica printer, which, as the name Mavica implies, is a printer with a floppy drive. Yeah, just cram a 3.5-inch diskette full of JPEGs inside, press print, and bask in the glory of floppy disk-based picture printing capabilities, no computer required. Why? Why not? Who cares? It's awesome! And if I made YouTube shorts, we'd end things there, but this is LGR, and with these devices, it's all about that context. So picture this, it's 1999 and you've got this fancy new digital camera. One of Sony's fascinating floppy disk-based cameras using 3.5-inch high-density floppies for storage. Each one only stores 1.44 megabytes, but they're floppies. They're everywhere and they're cheap, so it's actually a solid solution. But what do you do with the pictures afterward? Just look at them on a computer screen? Send them over email, stick them on your AngelFire page? Because with film, the answer was clear. You head to a photo lab and get prints made to plop into an album and briefly flip through every decade or so. And therein lies the rub with digital photography in the 90s. The lack of prints, or good printing options, at least with the kind of quality folks had come to expect from 35mm film. And Sony wasn't having any of that, hence the Mavica floppy disk printer, designed with Mavica floppy disk cameras in mind, released at a price of $500 on launch in 1999, or roughly twice that when adjusted for inflation today. Seems like a lot, and it was, but what was the alternative for photo printing at home? Inkjet? In 1999, photo inkjet printers were coming down in cost and had good print quality, but the cost of ink sure added up quickly. Or how about laser? Well, color laser printers cost a daggum fortune, and results simply weren't ideal for photos. So dedicated photo printers made sense for a time, and by 1999 there were plenty of competing photo printers, with options from Fargo, Casio, Vivitar, Mitsubishi, Panasonic, and more having been on the market for several years. But a photo printer with a built-in 3.5-inch floppy drive specifically designed for Mavica users, ooh yeah, if you were already in that ecosystem, you can imagine the appeal. It not only had the floppy drive for convenience sake, but it was a competitively priced device in its own right for the features and image quality you got. Instead of toner or ink cartridges, the FVP-1 uses a thermal print head to transfer colored dye directly onto paper. Often referred to as dye sublimation in old reviews and marketing, but to be more specific, it's more like dye diffusion thermal transfer. The same thing used in many dedicated photo printers today. It's still solid color printing technology. But in 1999, it was truly excellent. Forget waiting several days for film prints to be developed, or heck, even waiting 1 hour for photos was obsolete. In just 2 minutes, the FVP-1 could print out a fantastic quality photograph. Or, well, as fantastic as your digital camera could provide, at least. And with the Sony Mavica line, image quality varied wildly. I've done a whole video on these cameras before, but the gist is, from 1997 to 2002, Sony released nearly 20 floppy disk Mavica models, gradually increasing their sensor resolution, lens optics, drive speed, and so on, getting really quite good by the end. But those early ones were closer to being still video cameras, grabbing NTSC video frames from a 1/4-inch CCD sensor and saving it to JPEG on floppy disk, interlacing and all. But that's precisely the kind of thing the Mavica printer was built to handle, especially considering its heritage. Much of what's seen in the FVP-1 traces its roots back to Sony's own video printers of the 80s and early 90s. These were hefty purpose-built beasts designed primarily for medical, scientific, and professional use. Effectively, they were still image video capture devices with a printer bolted on, and they were not something you'd find in the average home at all. However, beginning in 1993 and into 94, Sony began selling simplified versions for consumers, like the CVP G500 and 700 early on, followed by the CVP M1 and M3. These video printers shared a lot of the same tech as their earlier professional counterparts, just simplified in build quality and feature set, designed to print from Hi8 and other camcorder tapes, or even a VCR or TV or anything with composite video. They continued getting smaller throughout the 90s, moving on from the CVP M3 and onto video printers like the M55, P77, and P88. And it's those later, smaller units that soon evolved into the Mavica printer in 1999. It made sense to market one specifically to that user base too, since Sony Mavicas accounted for up to 40% of the entire US digital camera market at their peak, and there was a wide range of Mavica hardware: cameras, cases, mounts, readers, adapters, printers, recorders, and more. So many floppy disk devices, so little time. So let's stop wasting it and get this Mavica printer unboxed, which I recently found unused, still in its original packaging. Inside the box are the expected sealed goodies and doodads, namely these packages containing documentation, software, power and video cables. And of course, the printer itself, which is looking minty fresh in that delightfully new old stock way. There's little to see around back, but on the right-hand side is where you install thermal cartridges. On the left side is the power button, inputs for composite and S-video, and video output for TV things, which we'll see soon. And up front has the 3.5-inch floppy drive, and this empty bay for installing the optional $99 paper tray for holding up to 25 sheets at once. Otherwise, you insert them manually one at a time. Then on top is where most of the action happens, with an assortment of controls for selecting and printing images from different sources. As for the paperwork, it's your standard allotment of documentation. Nothing surprising here. Although I was surprised to see this CD-ROM containing the Windows 95 digital color printer utility, since the printer does not connect to a computer. Definitely gonna try this later. Right now, it's time to get the thing loaded up and ready to print, and for that, we'll need one of the compatible paper and cartridge packs, which thankfully are still easy to find and not horrendously expensive at the time of recording. Sony's VPM P50 STA video print packs are the ones I'm using here, although a number of different options are available. Back in 1999, these cost $45 each, and for that you got 50 sheets of photo paper and a print cartridge good for 50 prints, as you'd expect. Putting the cost at 90 cents per 4x6 print. Roughly half of what you'd pay at a Kodak picture maker kiosk back then, as a point of comparison. Anyway, we're finally ready to print from floppy, so let's just insert a disk and, yeah, now what? Because despite the number of buttons on top for controlling things, there's no display for seeing the actual images. And that's where the composite video output comes into play. Just grab a TV, connect the video cable, and there you go. Interface problem solved. I guess. It really is just like the older Sony video printers, just with a floppy drive. It may not need a computer, but it definitely needs a display. And well, since I had a disc with pictures from my old FD Mavica video, let's see if the darn thing works real quick. Just select the file on TV, insert a sheet of paper, and press the print button. Yeah, that is not bad at all, especially considering this was just shot with the original FD Mavica 640 by 480. Not the highest quality of digital photos, you know, but the result is probably better in a print than it is just looking at the file. I don't know how well it's coming across on camera, but it's almost like there's a little bit of a relief for like slight embossing, slightly higher on bits of outlines of things. I don't know, it's an interesting texture. It's also clearly not a borderless print. I don't know why I was expecting it to be. I mean, it doesn't even show borderless images on the packaging or anything. So anyway, I guess that's kind of a disadvantage. But also, you know, it's not a real 4x6 either, which kind of makes sense. Images are shot in 4:3 aspect ratio on the Mavica and not 3:2, which a 4x6 would be. I think this is 4x5.5 in terms of the actual paper. The actual image is 4.5 by 3 3/8. Still not bad results considering this is 24 years old. Well, anyway, we got more paper, so let's make some more prints. And to do that, this was just with the FD5, so let me go get one of the better Mavicas I have and see what it does with higher resolution and stuff. So yeah, this is a Mavica FD87, 1.3 megapixels. Still shooting on floppy, but yeah, higher resolution and better image quality and all that kind of stuff. So I think this is, yeah, 1280 by 960 resolution. Let's take some pictures with this. Yeah, some good colorful fall trees to test. Yeah, good old Ingalls sign, why not? All right, I'm gonna have a selfie in there, I guess, so. Let's see, we've got some good colors on these. That might be a good picture. All right, so, got some pictures on the disc. We'll go ahead and see what we get. Start with this one. Actually, can we just select all of them? I think we can. Yeah, let's just do that. All right. That looks fantastic. Wow. And yeah, I was wondering how that would work. It's already loading the next image into memory. I wish I didn't have the date code up there, but whatever. Yeah, the reds and oranges, greens, a little bit of blue. I mean, that looks wonderful. And the detail is, yeah, I just took the paper there. Anyway, details much improved for sure over the FD5's lower resolution. All right, well, just gonna let all these print out here. Turn that noisy thing off. Man, I guess that's just a fan or motor running for something, but it is quite loud. Anyway, so yeah, first up, we've already seen that one. It really is impressive. But yeah, here is our Ingalls sign. Everything looks nice and legible and good colors, or, you know, as good as the Mavica was able to capture them. Just looks like a picture. The selfie ended up being a bit out of focus, just slightly. I think it was a little bit closer than it wanted me. I don't know, these things are really particular about putting it in like a macro mode if you want to take a selfie at arm's length. I kind of forgot about that, but anyway, otherwise, skin tones are, or at least my skin tone is looking awesome. Got the green of the plant back there and the shadows, I mean, just as you'd hope. And then our little, emphasis on little, arcade scene here with the little miniature New Wave Toys things. Yeah, again, just looks wonderful. I remembered to put it in macro here because I knew I was pretty close up, and I mean, you could almost even read the text that's on the machines there. Certainly can read that. Yeah, it looks better the better stuff you give it, as you'd expect. And to answer the inevitable question, yes, you can just put whatever JPEGs you want on there, and as long as they fit on the floppy disk and this thing knows how to read them, you can print them. Whoops. There we go. All right. Oh yeah, that looks phenomenal. I mean, the Carina Nebula always does, but yeah, that's just a really good quality print of a really high quality image. I mean, look at all the star detail and everything. That is just, it's wonderful. Great colors, great everything, honestly, as you'd hope for the printing tech, but you never know with something this old. Alrighty, just a couple more things we have got to try, and first is the video input mode, which this switch here, you can go from FD to still to motion and move over to the inputs instead of using the floppy disk for imagery. And of course, 90s Sony product, we gotta go with a PlayStation here. I've got some Duke Nukem Time to Kill, let's put that in. Switch the input over. Go ahead and hit capture right there. And so you'll see it starts scanning
I guess both fields to create a frame. I'm actually going to turn the PlayStation off here, but you can see it's still scanning whatever it had, I guess just in some sort of buffer with the Mavica printer itself. And this is just in the memory of the printer right now. So you have two options. We can either, yeah, just beeped. We can either print it directly, or we can actually hit this Save Video to FD button and do exactly that. You can save this to floppy disk. You know, see the memory is flashing there, so it's doing things. It's basically converting it to JPEG. It just starts writing it to the disk. So yeah, pretty quick. It's not like we had a whole lot of color information or anything going on with this particular image. And now if we swap back over to reading the floppy disk, it's right there. Select it and print it. Easy as that. Extremely cool. Again, a lot like the much earlier video and graphic printers that Sony made, and many, many other companies, of course, but the Sony ones in particular, at least the ones that I've seen and messed with, all pretty much work just like that, except this one has the floppy disk integration, which makes it 1,000 times cooler. Oh, a physical keepsake of the best startup sequence of all time. I'm going to switch it back over to the input there, and got some Duke Nukem Time to Kill here, so pretty accurate. Just want to get into game here a bit and get a screenshot, print that out.
Looks like it's time to kill.
That it is. Time to capture and kill. So I don't actually know where I want to screenshot. I just wanted to, yeah. Oh, so many pigs. It's just, I don't know, right about here, somewhere where we got some light. And that's that. I'm being captured, baby. And Duke is just dying in the background. Not much we can do about that. Heck yeah, that's awesome. Write that to floppy. Couldn't do much in the background. All right, and the floppy is now filled with images. So, perfect opportunity to take it over to the PC side and check out that software it came with. And there we go, got the Windows software installed, which is just this little thingy here. Let's go to our floppy disk, make sure we got the images. Oh yeah. And that's that. We have a direct capture of the boot screen there. Looking lovely as it can be, with composite and, you know. Oh yeah, this is the one I was more curious about. I was just thinking, like, this would have been pretty cool to just get quick screenshots of things directly back in '99. Video capture still wasn't exactly the most common thing to see. At least I don't remember seeing it too much, so being able to capture PlayStation game screenshots, or it's just, I don't know, I love this stuff. Anyway, this is the printer utility, so you can make stickers, calendars, cards, splits, labels, whatever. It's really just adding stuff to your existing images and then formatting them to a size that the printer will be able to handle. The only thing that separates like a card from a sticker, for instance, is using different print materials. Sony did actually sell sticker sheets for this. So yeah, there you go. You could make all kinds of stickers and printable thingies like that, but let's not do that. I just want to make a calendar. I'm kind of curious about this, especially this one, which again, the same size sheet of photo paper we're working with here. It's just you have the current month or whatever month you want, and you have an image. So we can choose our image. And there we go. We've got a Duke Nukem screenshot for our October calendar. Can we change yeah, the size of it a bit? Just sort of zoom in. Just crop it right into my butt. That's a good calendar shot right there. All right, And then if we want to adjust further, we can, but it's fine. We could add a frame though. Oh, quite a wonderful selection. Wow, a lot of stuff actually. Sony Cyber, Handycam, Vaio, Vega, Sony Beams, all kinds of different, look at the telephone. Oh man, I don't know, just put some cherry blossoms around. And then you can print either to a printer if I had one plugged in. Again, the Mavica printer here cannot be plugged into a computer. So if you just select Mavica print instead of your local LPT1 or whatever, you hit print and it's going to write to the floppy disk. That's what it's doing. And it just finished up. We should have, oh yeah, many more files. I don't know what all these are actually for. I think some of them are maybe just so you can go back and re-edit this. Or anyway, this 4S one looks like, yeah, there's our calendar. Yeah, it just shows up as a regular image. So looks pretty good to me. Looks even better on the TV here. So let's go ahead and print that out. And there we go. We have a wonderful calendar for this month with Duke Nukem's backside and some cherry blossoms. Obviously, there are more things you could test on here, but it's really just making collages and indexes and stuff. And we've seen the real meat of it for sure. I just put myself in the shoes of myself back in 1999 and imagining seeing this kind of thing, especially with the software. Oh my goodness, I used to love, I mean, if you've seen some of my videos before, I love print programs and designer things, anything I could mess around with graphically, especially involving real photos or captures or whatever, and floppy disks, and just, there's so many things about this that hit all the right buttons for me, so to speak. You know, there's a lot of buttons. But yeah, it's a neat device, and I am just thoroughly amused by it all these years later, and I hope that perhaps you got some amusement as well seeing it in action here on LGR. And hey, if you happen to have one of these Mavica printers in particular back in the day, let me know when you got it. Maybe you hopefully got it cheaper than $500 when it was brand new. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you had any experience with this type of thing back when it was new. And I hope you stick around for more LGR topics, always in the works for future videos. And as always, thank you for watching.